How's it going, friends? Tristan here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the most LGBT friendly locations to travel to all around the world. Now, as you can see by this map right here, which points out which countries have legalized gay marriage, most of the Western countries, European countries, US, Canada, Australia, those are the regions that have passed gay marriage legislation, so it wouldn't be fair for me to just point out like places in those areas. So I'm going to be dividing this video up by categories, talking about the best LGBT gay friendly areas in Europe, Australia, US, South America, Asia, Middle East, Africa, like that. So for each region of the globe, no matter where you want to travel, I'll point out where some of the best places are to travel to if you're gay, or maybe you're married, have a couple. You're just in some situation where you don't have to hide your sexuality while you're traveling. So in the first half of this video, I'm going to be talking about the more progressive regions of the world, and then in the second half, I'll be talking about the regions of the world that haven't quite legalized gay marriage for the most part yet, and are not quite as progressive. But first up, we're going to be talking about Australia, and inside Australia, I believe Melbourne is the most LGBT friendly city inside all of Australia. They have a big gay festival there called Chill Out Fest. It's kind of like the gay capital of Australia, you could say. However, a lot of people argue that Sydney is just as LGBT friendly. Both cities have amazing gay nightlife. There's a lot of gay clubs, gay restaurants, pride events, stuff like that go on at certain times throughout the year. So if you're looking for somewhere in Australia where you can be accepted, Melbourne and Sydney are definitely two cities where you won't have to worry about if you're going to be accepted. Coincidentally, those are also the two biggest cities in Australia, but you'll notice as I go through this, a lot of time the most LGBT friendly city in a country also happens to be the biggest one. But it's not always the case. So moving on, we're going to be focusing on North America now. In North America, I would say if you're looking in Canada, the most progressive LGBTQ friendly city in all of Canada is Toronto. It is another very progressive accepting city. Now moving down to the United States, I'm going to break the United States into some more subcategories, but I would say if you're traveling to the northeast of the US, the most LGBT friendly city up there is New York City. However, you go a little bit south to the southeast side of the United States, the most LGBT friendly city is Miami. And as you move more west, you go to the Midwest, the most LGBT friendly city in the Midwest is Chicago. And then as you move even further west, the whole West Coast, California, Oregon, all those places. It's a whole lot of cities that are accepting. I mean, it's kind of like the gay capital of the world, I feel like, over there in California. You have LA, San Francisco, San Diego, on top of that, Portland, Oregon, all very accepting cities. You don't have to worry about showing signs of public affection out in public. Now I will say, I feel like I'm naming like all big cities right now. These are very progressive countries we're talking about. As I get onto Africa, the Middle East, Asia, later on in this video, I will be talking about, very specific cities in countries that, may not even allow gay marriage. We'll get to the ones that are a little bit more important that you want to know about in a bit. Oh, but speaking of that, a lot of people do think of the South as being more conservative, not as accepting as LGBTQ people, and that definitely is, I would say, the case. If there's anywhere in America where you'll find people that aren't, will be most likely in the South. However, if you're traveling to the South, I will say probably the most accepting city you'll find in the South is where I am right now in Austin, Texas. It is a very liberal, accepting, welcoming city. I did a couple of videos. I filmed several videos here, like 6 videos of gay topic videos in Austin, so go check that out. I'll link some of them in the description below if you want to see them. But Austin's a very progressive city with a great gay district. 4th Street, if you don't know, awesome gay bars there. You'll have a good time if you come visit. But that is it for North America. Now moving on to Europe, which I would say is the last region that we still have to talk about that as a whole is pretty accepting. And again, Europe is so big, so diverse, it's really hard to say the best ones, because there's just so many places. You're going to be safe pretty much everywhere you go in Europe, especially in Western Europe. Same way, US, when countries where gay marriage is legal, you're going to be pretty well accepted. So I won't spend much time on that, but I'm going to say first, I was in England last summer, super accepting in England. Some of the most well-known gay-friendly places in England are, I would say, first, Manchester. There's Canal Street, great place, had some fun there. Also go a little bit south, then you hit London. London, oh my god, I love London. Of all the places I went in England for as far as gay life goes, London was definitely my favorite. I was staying in a hostel in Soho, it was coincidental. I had no idea it was the gay capital or gay district, but I was staying in the gay district, gay people all around. When I was just walking down the street, having, passing by people, there were people having brunch, having their tea with their partner, people holding hands walking down the street. There's gay people very visible, I felt like, in London, at least in Soho where I was staying, so definitely a safe place for you to travel. But now the gay capital of England is neither of those two places. It is in a city, a much smaller city down at the coast of England. It's called Brighton. Super awesome place, really fun. I totally recommend you go there. However, I will say it is a small town, so if you're going there, I wouldn't spend a whole week there. Spend a couple days there, enjoy it. But it's only like a 2-hour bus ride from London, so I'd say spend most of your time in London while you're there, and then while you're on vacation, you can go on a little mini vacation to Brighton, stay there for 2-3 days, back up. Brighton's a really cool place. Moving on, Spain is a super accepting country. Barcelona and Madrid are both very accepting cities. I was reading something about Barcelona, actually, that has 4 major LGBTQ events each year. Most cities have 1 pride once a year or something. There's kind of 4 prides. They have a gay pride, they have a bear pride, they have a, they have a gay and lesbian international film fest, and then they have a circuit pride. So yeah, there's 4 different big pride events in Barcelona throughout the year. Great city to travel to, and definitely one that's on the top of my bucket list. Next up, I'd say Sweden is one of the most LGBT friendly countries in Europe. They were actually the first country in the entire world to allow people to change their gender identity and go from male to female, female to male. Stockholm's kind of like the gay capital there, another big city. Yeah, there's literally so many gay friendly places in all of Europe. Like I can't even name it all, you know. Amsterdam was on the list, Paris. Oh, one of the cheaper countries, it's like, you know, for Western Europe, a little bit cheaper, and it's also very LGBTQ friendly and kind of rising up right now is Portugal. On top of that, I think Norway, Denmark, Belgium, Germany, Finland, all those countries, very LGBTQ friendly. You're not gonna go wrong visiting any of them. I read that Finland has one of the biggest, like, coolest, like, baddest, like, gay clubs in the entire world. It's called, like, DTM or something like that. Actually, I wrote it down, yeah. DTM. So yeah, if you're ever in Finland, you know, you might want to try hitting that place up. Sounds like a cool experience. But enough talk about all these countries that are overall accepting of LGBTQ people. Let's get into the regions, the countries, you know, where you might not be accepted. You might have to like watch what activities you do, who you hang out with, how you interact in public. You know, for your own safety, so you don't go to jail and stuff like that. So the next region I'm going to be talking about is South America, and you know, as you can tell by this map, you know, it's pretty progressive. It's more progressive than a lot of the world, but not nearly as progressive as some of the other countries we've been talking about. But again, I'm going to break South America up into some micro regions. So if you're in Central America, the most LGBTQ friendly city in Central America is Mexico City. Mexico City was the first region inside Mexico that allowed people who are the same sex to get married. You know, they give out same-sex licenses, but as you move more into South America, there are a lot of places where it is still illegal to be homosexual, have same-sex relationships, same-sex activities, stuff like that. I know that the Dominican and Jamaica both, that's banned. Homosexuality is banned there. I don't think banned is the right word, but it's illegal there. However, some of the more progressive cities and more progressive countries in South America are Buenos Aires and Argentina. My good friend Remy, who you've seen in some of my past videos, he was actually just studying there all last summer, and he told me that he had a great time there, but he also saw a lot of gay people. He was telling me he saw like the gay district and all that stuff, so it's definitely an accepting place, and he said, like, you know, anyone who's gay, LGBT, wherever you are on the spectrum, would definitely feel welcomed there. Now, a common theme in a lot of South America is it has a large Catholic population, and Catholics are known for being, you know, more anti-LGBTQ, or at least like more conservative in their thoughts on that. However, the country of Uruguay is known for being a lot more kind of, I don't say like less Catholic, but they're more like progressive. They're a very liberal country as a whole, and they're more accepting of new social ideas like same-sex marriages and stuff like that. So Uruguay is definitely a safe place to travel to for same-sex couples. Uruguay kind of, you know, leads like South America, I feel like, as a whole, kind of pushes the LGBTQ movement as far as like legislation goes. They legalized same-sex marriage before we even did in the US. And the last place I'd like to talk about in South America happens to be in Brazil, and that is Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is home to the biggest LGBTQ event in the entire world. 3 to 5 million people come to this big old festival there, so that definitely seems like a cool thing to attend. But as a whole, you know, it's a very accepting, open city. The same goes with Rio de Janeiro. However, Brazil is known for having a good amount, a high level of hate crimes towards LGBTQ members. So while it is legal there, the hate crimes are definitely higher there than in a lot of other places, so do watch out. Now moving on to Asia, which is a place where there's a lot less legislation in favor of LGBTQ members that, you know, kind of is passing same-sex marriage and all that. There's actually only one country in all of Asia that allows people of the same sex to get married, and that is Taiwan. So let's go to Taiwan. Obviously, if you're wanting to travel in Asia, Taiwan's one of the best places you could travel to as an LGBTQ member. You don't have to worry about anything there. However, if you're wanting to travel to some other countries in Asia, do not be worried. Japan, China, and South Korea, all of them don't have any legislation against it or for it. I mean, you can't get married there, which kind of sucks if you live there, but you know, if you're already married, if you're a couple, whatever, you're just traveling around, wanting to show like affection or whatever, there's nothing that criminalizes it, so you're not going to be thrown in jail or anything like that. However, some of the other countries in Asia, you might have more of a problem with it. They might have some legislation that forbids certain behaviors. However, I don't want you to think that like all of Asia, you know, the rest of Asia that I didn't mention is like anti-gay or anything like that. That is not the case. For example, I spent a lot of time in Thailand, and it is literally, I feel like, more open than in America. Like, it was so open in Thailand. There are tons of lady boys, which are like, if you don't know, it's like guys who are either kind of like cross-dressed, like dressed like girls, or they actually are transgender. But I'd say it's a whole kind of like, it's a big thing. Like, there are a lot more lady boys there than I've ever seen transgender girls. Lady boys in Bangkok, or Bangkok in specific, but all over Thailand, are very visible. It's a big part of their culture there, and it's something that their society accepts. I would say that the kind of whole culture, the community of Thailand, they're very open. They don't really care, honestly, about what your sexuality is, what you do. They're very accepting. While there may not be laws legalizing gay marriage, there's absolutely no one getting in trouble for that. You know, there was plenty of gay people walking around that I saw, you know, holding hands, stuff like that. Actually, so I remember noticing I saw a lot more lesbian couples in Thailand or in Bangkok than I saw gay couples. I don't know if I noticed any gay couples, but I did notice several lesbian couples and a whole lot of lady boys. Lady boys, you'll see, they're on every corner. You see them everywhere. One last thing about Asia is that Buddhism is a very primary religion there, and on top of that, it's kind of intertwined with their culture a lot. And Buddhism doesn't really like stress a care, like I don't know, like, you know how like Christianity like targets like same-sex marriage as being wrong in a lot of ways, or at least a lot of Christian churches think that. Buddhism, it doesn't really matter there. It's not like a big part of the religion, so that's why people just don't really care no matter where you are in Asia. I guess India's more Hindu. But in the Southeast Asian countries, you know, China, stuff like that, where Buddhism is more prevalent, people just honestly don't care. It's not like it's something that their culture kind of sees as being like a big deal. Alright, now moving on to the two most strict regions of the world, and that is the Middle East and Africa. So first we're going to be tackling Africa. In Africa, in all 50 plus countries in Africa, there is only one country that allows same-sex marriage, and that is South Africa. Golf clap, good job to y'all. Inside South Africa, Cape Town is the gay capital of South Africa. There you'll be able to find gay bars, gay restaurants, gay hotels, very open, accepting city, and you should have no worries when traveling there. But in regards to the rest of Africa, there are three main categories I would say I would put like their LGBTQ laws in. So the light ones, they allow same-sex activities. You know, you can have same-sex relations with a guy, but you just can't be married, or you know, stuff like that. A couple countries like that include Mali, Madagascar, the Congo, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the other two categories of countries where it's not legal, you can either be sentenced to jail for extensive periods of time, or you can be given the death penalty. But obviously, you really don't want either of those things, so go check before you travel to Africa what you can do. You know, you want to make sure you're not showing, you know, public signs of affection and whatnot with your partner or whatever when you're in certain countries. I'm not going to go to every country where it's legal, illegal, jail, death penalty, all that stuff, but I will list in the description below all the countries where you will either be sentenced to jail or get the death penalty, just so you know you can read through them real quick and make sure you're a little bit careful before you go there. A general rule of thumb you can use is the more northern countries, the ones that are more predominantly Muslim, those are the countries where you're going to be going to jail or have the death penalty for being for being gay. The more south you go, the little bit more lenient it gets. However, that's not, you know, entirely the case, so you know, definitely go check, look at the description. Actually, no, better yet, go Wikipedia, go make sure you know the laws before you go there. I'm not trying to be liable for anyone going to jail. All right, now the last region I'm going to be talking about is the Middle East, and as you probably know, it is like the most strict on LGBTQ laws. They're not, you know, not that cool with LGBTQ issues with gay people, and none of the countries in the Middle East are you currently allowed to get married, or have a same-sex marriage. However, Israel will recognize your marriage if you're married in another country, or you're previously married, and then you come to Israel. They will recognize you as being married. Also, same-sex couples are allowed to live together. They can get kind of be like recognized as family if they live together long enough. I don't know the exact rules on that, but they can. But of all of the Middle Eastern countries, Israel is definitely the most progressive and accepting of gay people, so you shouldn't be worried when going there. I wouldn't flaunt it in public or anything like that, but not something that you really have to worry about. Now, there are other countries in the Middle East like Jordan and Turkey where they have decriminalized homosexuality, or you could say it's legal to be gay. I don't know, it's legal to be homosexual. Like they won't punish you for it, but they're definitely not accepting. The difference between there and places like Thailand, though, is that Thailand, the culture is very accepting of it, which really, honestly, in my opinion, probably the most important part, at least when you're traveling there. However, the culture there, maybe not in the entire country, but in many parts of those countries, like Jordan and Turkey, might not be accepting. If you're in like a really big city, like, you know, like a big city in Turkey, like Istanbul, that is more likely to be accepting. Now, a city inside the Middle East that is become, especially very recently, has been a lot more progressive and accepting towards gay people. It's a lot more gay friendly, is Dubai. And this is actually mainly because it's just been so developed and so many Westerners are traveling there, touring there. It's just kind of gotten a little bit westernized. So culturally, Dubai is a lot more accepting to it than the rest of the Middle East. But you do have to watch out when traveling in the Middle East, especially if you're traveling, you know, with your spouse, with your significant other of the same sex. You know, you don't want to be getting in trouble. There are a lot of places in the Middle East with the death penalty. Again, I'll link all countries that have the death penalty, or you can go to jail for being gay in the description below. I hope this video helped or is at least informative. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.